Throughout the whole campaign, Mike, the Democrats kept saying that it was Trump that was a threat to democracy. All the while, they're surveilling elected sitting senators.
Well, Maria, just like the 2016 campaign when they were spying on the Trump campaign, all right? And it's, of course, they brought Jack Smith in not in spite of the fact that he's one of the only federal prosecutors ever to get reversed 9-0 by the Supreme Court. It's because he's a political hatchet man. Okay, he is there to go out and get his man. He will run roughshod over any rule, any law, any norm. And that was the whole point of this entire January 6th committee. No different than the Russia investigation. And just think about the headlines we've seen since Jim Comey has been indicted for clearly lying. You can see the crime on film. No, I didn't leak anything to the media. Okay, here's the exact documents where he's leaking to the media. No talk of this and his clear guilt about lying to the Senate. Only that it's unbelievable that Trump's going after his enemies. I think the FBI and the House Republicans need to start peeling back the layers of what happened in this entire January 6th probe and exposing it for the sham that it was and the political hit job and all the rules they broke, all the laws they broke, and all the other shenanigans they got up to, so we can just put this to bed that somehow the Trump Justice Department is breaking these norms.
Right, and let's not forget that this was all part of the conspiracy over a 10-year period. Mike Lee, jump in here, because I was just reading Tom Lee, and he was saying that his S&P 500 year-end target of 7,000 seems low to him right now. Mike.
Yeah, well, Maria, if you just take a step back and think about it, we just got fiscal stimulus, which is already making a huge difference in terms of the manufacturing output that you're going to get from the immediate depreciation. Okay, on top of the tariffs help manufacturing. So you have this bottom kind of the infrastructure of the economy, if you will, is going to get stronger over the next 12 months. We are going to get 3 to 6 rate cuts over the next 12 months. Okay, and earnings estimates for this quarter earlier this year were 4 or 5%. Now they're 8. They were 7.3% at the end of the last quarter on June 30th. For this quarter, I think we're going to beat that 8 handily. Remember, last quarter estimates were for 4% going in, and we came up at 12. And oh yeah, the things going on in artificial intelligence are just mind-blowing. Okay, we are only at the era of building the large language models and the infrastructure for that. Once you move to agents and applications, the demand for compute's going to explode. So all these names that we're seeing, these OpenAI, AMD deals, the one that I'm looking at is Marvell. I think that's the next one to go, parabolic. So hopefully we'll see there's a lot more of this to come.
Wow, this AI segment really does make this time different, I think, Mark. Final word. I'm excited about it as well. Mike Lee, jump in here, because we have been zeroing in on defense technology now for about a year here, as we are watching President Trump's agenda dominated by national security and his efforts to keep America safe.
Yeah, well, look, from what I'm hearing is there are some really spectacular new processes at the Department of War. So, government bureaucracy getting new technologies through. You could have a cutting edge technology today that by the time it gets approved and implemented and purchased by the government 2 years from now is obsolete. So what are you guys doing to take advantage of this? Because it's my understanding there's all sorts of new programs to fast track these unbelievable technologies. I think Anadril is taking advantage of some of it. I'm sure something like yours is ultra important to the warfighter.
Well, thankfully we've got Pete Hegseth. He's future forward thinking. We're working through new ways of moving faster, like, for example, OTAs, other transaction authorities. And so that's because of him and the current administration, we're able to move a lot faster than before. So, I would say that we're moving at breakneck speed now. We just need to keep our foot on the gas and keep it going.
It is in black and white on text, Mike.
Maria, this is absolutely disgusting, but this is the Democrat Party. Okay, their religion is their politics. They are interested in power at all costs. Yeah. Okay, the reason why they aren't coming in if this was a Republican, every Republican would be demanding this resignation. The pressure would be coming from every single direction. Most Democrats, they don't even care. They'll say, well, maybe not his best moment. But look, they want power. They want you dead. Look, if the Democrats get back in charge again, millions of Americans are going to be rounded up and thrown in jail. Everything that they say Donald Trump is going to do is exactly what they've done and will take to another level if they ever get back in charge.
Well, that is exactly right, Caroline.
Where we're at with yields, and then you've also got the fact that the street continues to power ahead despite that shutdown. Anything in your purview right now that changes the story?
No, look, I think this market could continue to run far longer than even the most bullish of people that are out there, because you don't have bubbles. You don't have tops when people are saying the market's way overvalued. We're in a bubble. This AI is too much. These things don't. That's not the sign of the top. That's normally the sign that there's a lot more room to run. Okay, we've saw from earlier this year that like tariffs might not be the most ideal, but their effects can be largely muted throughout the supply chain and currency movement, so they don't necessarily have such a massive negative effect on the economy as was once feared. Okay, and if you start looking at interest rates, I think that's a really interesting scenario, because the difference between the 2-year Treasury and the 30-year Treasury should be the average of growth plus inflation over the next 7 years. Okay, so I can see with the Fed lowering front-end interest rates somewhere into the 2s, maybe 275, maybe 250 over the course of the next year, but the 10-year and the 30-year not moving down that much, and that curve steepening, which is a huge boom for banks and their net interest margins, because of course they borrow short, invest long, and with that net interest spread, and also some other names that I'm looking at are the private equity names, because as short-term interest rates come out, as these banks get more balance sheet freed up from larger net interest margins, their cost of capital to acquire companies is going to get cheaper. The valuations for their deals in their back end are going to get better, and as the capital markets improve for IPOs and for deal making, all of these things come into a confluence of an earnings boom for the private equity names in addition to the banks. On the back of what's going on with AI, on the back of what's looking like multiple 3% GDP growth quarters in a row, with fiscal easing on the back of the big, beautiful bill. Look, the market's high right now. Valuations seem expensive, yet when you take a look at the backdrop, I've never been more bullish.
No, that's the sentiment, Michael, that we keep hearing repeatedly all of the time, is that there really is a lot more room to run. And we'll see what the banks have to say next week. Those are going to be pivotal reports for the street.
Mike?
Yeah, look, Jackson O'Reilly could have won the last time around if the Republicans had thrown some muscle behind him and money. I think this is going to be a lot closer. The cost of living in New Jersey is absolutely outrageous, and it's going to get worse if they keep voting Democrats in. A lot more people are aware of this. There is a working class populist coalition in that state that is building, and this might be the turning point. A lot of other polling that's out there shows this race a lot closer.
Yeah, and by the way, President Trump won a big group in New Jersey that people were surprised at. Cheryl, look what happened. You said you're expecting a big year end. Do you mean you want to put new money to work in stocks today, even after these double-digit moves year to date?
Yeah, Maria, I think you have to, because if you look at where we are going to be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, okay, what is the market going to look like? And these investments that OpenAI and AMD just put together, you're just scratching the surface. And if you look at what's going to happen to GDP in a whole from this data center construction, it's going to add almost a full percentage point to GDP, and you're going to have all these foreign investments coming in. I think you buy the best names right now, and you know, if you get a sell-off, you buy more, because I think this bull market has years to run.
All right, we will take a break on that note and come back with Ironside's macroeconomics managing. But look, this market doesn't even care. We're rallying again in further record territory right now.
Yeah, look, there have been enough government shutdowns where we know it really doesn't affect markets. But like another day, another higher market, and more Democrat corruption.
Yeah, there you go.